now we take on the issue of, well, food and food security, scarcity, nutrition. I mean, these are some of the concerns in our diet, our lifestyle, and, well, all of those factors depend heavily on where you live in the world. A central underlying aspect of our diets as a global human population is literally what we eat. And given the mass overfishing, environmental damage of large-scale agriculture, livestock, our current ways, well, they're unsustainable by practically every measure. But there's yet another argument to refining our diet, and this one focuses on the ethics of our food industry as well. And in Israel, a chapter of an international organization called Meet the Victims. Now, it's determined to save the animals themselves from the dinner plate fate that awaits many of them. And this group, well, they're active, as we'll get into right now. We're joined in the studio by Amy Gilat and Sagi, both animal rights activists with Meet the Victims, as you can tell by the shirts that you brought in here wearing. Okay, the name aside, obviously it's catchy. Tell me a bit about, where it came from, the organization. What you have to give us the basics on the organization.
So the Meet the Victims concept started in Australia in 2018 by an activist called Leah Dollinger. And the idea behind Meet the Victims was to show the public the animals as they are in a non-violent way. Our
sort of
concept,
like behind the scenes, in other words, like what a lot of people aren't seeing. Where is this, your hot dog coming from at the beginning of the day?
Yeah, okay. We only see animal products as a finished product and not what they used to be before, which is a beautiful animal.
Yeah. It started in 2018. What kind of following is there here? I mean, how big of a movement are you at this point in terms of the group? Not numbers, but I mean, are you finding that there's, a receptive audience, essentially, to the message that you're putting out there? What do you say to that?
Well, this movement, this grassroots movement, essentially spread it over to many other countries, including Europe, Canada, countries in Europe, obviously. And each action in Israel, we had 9 actions.
Okay.
Each one is broadcasted live abroad and in Israel,
so
and receives tens of thousands of views.
So very transparent, what you guys are up to. This isn't, masked sort of sabotage operations.
No, it's highly important for us to emphasize that our presence there with open face.
Okay.
Bringing a message of nonviolence and civil disobedience. We choose not to obey to unjust laws. This is a big part of our message.
Yeah, that term jumps out, and all the reading I've done about you guys, my understanding, the quote-unquote unjust laws, that seems to be the core of the mission in terms of, these actions, what you're out to accomplish. Is that it? Is it about actually changing policy, getting, from the top down, a system to change that's, bent around this industry? And what do you hope to accomplish, essentially, by these actions?
By these actions, we hope for people to see the animals as they are, and think about the things that we take for granted. Like we're all grown up in a society where animals are being eaten.
Yeah. And
this documentation shows people what actually happens, and what we hope to achieve is a change. We hope people will bring the change, that they will see the animals and decide to create a better environment for them.
I think no matter what you think about the industry or what you eat, what's going on behind the scenes in these slaughterhouses, it's ugly. I mean, these are places that stink. Most people have no connection to what's happening behind the scenes with their food. What about the legal aspect here? Where does it factor in? Where is it a gray line? Is it a clear black and white issue? Where does the law and the legal side of these actions, come into it for you guys?
Well, we are willing to break the law because we are following our moral etiquette and follow what we believe is justice and what we believe most of the public agrees on to be justice. Most of the public,
I think, freeing the animals, right? I mean, essentially, is that the end goal of a lot of these actions? Is to actually stop, to rescue them, essentially?
We want to rescue all of the animals. Unfortunately, we can't do that. It's too big, it's too large, and this is why we need the change. We need to harness people. We need to harness the public. We need to harness the politicians to this goal. And we can't do that on our own. We are a big group, but we're not big enough to save all of them. So we're rescuing whoever we can, and we want to show the public that there is an alternative of life with fulfilling the potential of the animal as an intelligent and compassionate and a creature that is sentient and has feelings and can experience pain.
Yeah. Where do they go? I mean, once you say you do rescue animals, I know there's been some successful actions, right, where that's resulted in animals being, essentially freed from this, path to slaughter. Where do they go at that point?
To different rescue farms in Israel, where they are treated as they deserve. And if you have ever seen animals in a rescue farm, you can see that they act completely different than in the animal agriculture facilities, that they're happy, they play, they communicate, and they even like people.
Is it viable for many of these animals to even survive in environments like that? I know a lot of them are even bred, sort of engineered for meat, essentially. Do you find that there's an issue there with some of these animals not being viable to live, freely, or how bad is that part of the industry?
They often have to be euthanized since they are not strong enough, but most of them do survive. Maybe not their full lifespan, but they do have a happy life for the part that they can live.
Tell us about the last action, if you can. I mean, the most recent action, I understood it was just a couple weeks ago, a few weeks ago. I mean, what happened there, and was it a success?
Well, we entered at the recent action to a hatchery. Many people don't know that, chicks, where they grow chicks for the poultry industry, for chicken industry. And many people don't know that many of the chicks are being cold, shredded basically in a machine that is designed for shredding them if they're not fit for the industry later, for the facilities being grown for broilery chicken, and then in which case they will be slaughtered at the age of 6 weeks only. So either way, they're facing a very cruel and terrible life. And we entered this facility, and some of our activists stayed outside and protested, and a big group entered. And some activists glued themselves to the shredding machine and stopped it from working, basically expressing that we are willing to sacrifice our own bodies to protect this life and to try to scream for the ones that have no voice and cannot reach and sit at this studio and talk about their rights.
And in the end, you freed the chickens? I mean, in that case, many of the chicks get out of there?
Yeah, we have started our action with an open rescue. After we shut down the machine that shreds chicks, we took some of the chicks, we just grabbed them, and we went out and gave them the life they deserve.
It's remarkable. It's definitely attention-getting. Meet the victims. I appreciate you both coming here to tell us more about your mission. We'll stay tuned. Good luck out there.
Thank you very much.
Nothing simple.